Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing us how to sew this particular dress. So this is a highly requested video from the comments I have seen from the post. So please, if this is something you like, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share. Thank you. Center front is cut on fold. Then the side front, side back and center back, I have two pieces each. So I also cut out lining as well for each of it. Then the allowances by the side, I use 1.5 inches. Then for the zipper part of the back, I use 1.5 inches. Then ½ inch all around for sewing, that's for joining the fabrics together, including the lining as well. So I also had ½ inch around. So 1.5 inches I use for joining the fabric by this side. So now for this I added ½ an inch round. So the sleeve part, I really did not add so much inches, maybe like 0.5 inches round. I didn't add so much sewing allowance to it. So this is what we have. So for the bottom part of the dress, for the length, I added extra 5 inches. So the differences between these patterns, for this is for the front and back pattern, is 3 inches because of the fabric I'm working with. I'm just trying to manage fabric, but for you can add as much as 5 to 8 to 10 inches for fullness of the gather. But I'm just trying to, you're going to be cutting 2 pieces for the 2 side, so you're going to be cutting so now you're going to be pinning the wrong side of the center front and the side back. You're going to be pinning them together because those are the parts you're going to be sewing. So I'm also going to do that for the lining as well. After that, I'm also going to be pinning the wrong side of the center back and the side back together. I'm also going to be doing that for the lining as well. So the wrong sides that you have pinned together, you're going to be sewing on the wrong side. So the ½ an inch that you took, that you put while you were cutting, is what you are going to be sewing. So you sew around the ½ an inch. You sew around the ½ an inch. You sew around the ½ an inch basically. So you have to take that to your sewing machine. You sew it round. So I'm going to take that to the sewing machine and do that, and then come back to show you what I have done. So before that, I'm also going to be, so I cut out 4 pieces for this. This is the collar around the neckline. So I have like 4 pieces. So I'm going to be sewing half an inch around the bottom, not the upper part, around the bottom, round like this. I'm going to sew in ½ an inch, and I'm also going to be taking that to the sewing machine to sew. Now you must have joined the back pattern, the front pattern, the lining, you must have joined them separately. So this is what we have for the front. Also the back pattern too, you also join the lining and the front pattern separately. So in this case, I joined the front and back pattern of the lining together, but I used a loose stitch at the zipper allowance. I'm still going to open it up. So now this is the collar around the neckline. You can see I have gone ahead to sew it. You can see it has this curvy effect at the center front. So you're just going to be joining it to the front part of the fabric. So this is the sleeve. So I'm just going to be taking out the pins. Then I'm just going to fold it to indicate, I'm going to notch it at the center to indicate the notching part is where it's going to be falling on the shoulder itself. So then after that, I'm just going to be sewing it round, and I'm going to be adding elastic. So I notched it 3 inches on both sides. So after the main notch, I down notch another 3 inches. So from that 3 inches is where the elastic is going to be starting. So I've gone ahead to sew it round, and I put in the elastic for the 3 inches that I notched. From that 3 inches, I had elastic. From that point to the next point, I added elastic. So by the time you are joining the elastic, make sure that you stretch out the elastic when sewing. It's not like the elastic is just going to be there. So you draw the elastic when you are sewing. So the next thing, I'm just going to be sewing it round by 0.25 inch. So by the time you get to the elastic part, make sure that you draw the fabric like this when you are sewing it, so that the elastic will be able to relax well. So by the time you are done, this is what you have. So this is what you have. So I've already sew. You make sure you sew 0.25 inch. So this is what you have. So the next thing now, we're just going to be sewing. Let's be sewing 0.25 also to hold the edge of the fabric, to hold it down so that it will not frill. So by the time you are sewing, this is what you have. So you just cut out the threads. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the threads. So this is what we have for both sleeves. So this is what we have. If you look at it closely, this is what you are going to have as well. So now we're going to move to the front pattern. So where you have your joining at the front, like your bustier joining, you are going to mark 2.5 inches inward, not outward. You are going to mark 2.5 inches from that joining. So you are going to do that on the other side. Sorry, I was doing that from the v-neck. So you are going to do that on the other side. So 2.5 inches. So that point is where you are going to be imputing your shoulder, that mark. So the next thing now, we're going to be adding the collar. But before adding the collar, I need to move the collar backwards by 0.5 inches because we are going to be sewing that part. I'm going to move it back. But actually, this is what you're supposed to do. But I'm going to have to redo that part. So at the center front of the v-neck on both sides, I'm going to mark 0.5 inches. So this is what I'm supposed to have done before placing the collar. So now I'm going to be placing the collar after the 0.5 inches. At this point, they've taken the light. There's no light. So I'm going to be marking 0.5 inches. Then I'm going to be placing the shoulder on top of the collar by that 2.5 inches that I marked. So I'm also going to be doing that for the other side. I'm going to indicate 0.5 inches on the center front. I'm going to be placing the collar after 0.5 inches because I'm going to be sewing that 0.5 inches round. That's the v-neck. Then the 2.5 inches that I marked, I'm going to check it and place the shoulder as well. I'm going to check it. Sorry, I was looking for the second shoulder, second sleeve I mean. So I'm going to be placing it on top of the collar like this, on top of the mark where I mark, on top of the line where I mark 0.25 inches. So the lining is going to be, so I'm just going to place it like this. So after I've done placing it, the lining is going to be in front of it. After, the next thing is to place the lining on it like this, then turn it over to the other side. You turn it over to the other side, you sew it round, then you turn it over to the other side. So now this is the lining. So you're just, next thing, you're just going to go ahead and sew it round. So I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew it round, then show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like after sewing it round. I'm supposed to iron it. So you're also going to notch it round as well. Then you're going to iron it, but at this point there's no light. There's no light at all. So I'm just going to cut out the excess of the collar that I have. I'm going to cut out the excess. So next, I'm going to be fixing it to the back. So remember that I've already sealed up the back, so I'm just going to open up the back. So before opening it up, before the joining, after the joining, I mark 2.5 inches as well. So on the other side, I mark 2.5 inches. That's after the joining of the two fabrics together. I mark 2.5 inches. I'm sorry I was not capturing this part. So the next thing now is I'm just going to be putting the sleeve, the edge of the sleeve. I'm just going to be attaching it to the back sleeve. I'm just going to be attaching it to the back sleeve just like this. Then I'm also going to do that to the other side. I'm going to attach it like this. So I just have to turn it so it's not twisted. So the next thing is to join it with the lining. So the lining is already underneath it. So I'm just going to turn it to the other side and join the lining and the fabrics together. So this is what we have after joining the back pattern. So this is what I have after joining the back pattern. So the only thing I need to do is to iron this out so that it will lay out properly. So this is the front. Now we're going to be joining the front and the back fabrics together by this side. So the allowances I use for this side is 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inches. I'm going to mark 1.5 inches just like this. I'm also going to mark it on the other side like this. So I'm just going to use my ruler to outline it to make the lines visible. So the next thing is to take it to the sewing machine and sew it up. I'm going to sew it the two sides. I've sewn it already, so I'm just going to trim out the excesses on both sides. The excess allowance that I had it, I'm going to trim it off. I'm going to trim it off carefully. So then I'm going to be turning it to the right side to show you what we have. But at this junction, I'll have to stop so that by the time they bring the light, I can iron it and show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. This is what it's looking like already. So this is what it looks like. So this is what it looks like after ironing. So everything is laying smoothly. So this is the front pattern. This is the front of the dress, and now this is the back of the dress. So I've also gone ahead to hold the lining and the fabric together. I've gone ahead to stitch it around so that it will not move by the time I'm going to be joining the gathers by this side. So this is what we have. Next is to add the gathers to the side of the actual dress. So this is what we have. So I'm just going to notch it, the center part of this fabric. So the center part is what I'm going to be attaching to the side, like the side of the pattern. It's just going to the center side of the dress, not the pattern. So I'm going to be attaching to the center side, just like that. So next thing I want to say is that you can also add a net. You can add a net to it to give it a bouncy feel. Also add your lining. I'm not going to be adding lining to this one because I don't have enough lining. I'm just trying to manage all the fabrics that I have. I'm just trying to manage everything. So this is what it looks like after joining it to the bottom part. So this is the bottom part of the front. So this is what it looks like. Had it been you had that net I was talking about, if you put it and if you have enough fabric for the gathers, it will be very full. It will give you that bouncy effect that you want. So this is the back of the pattern. I'm going to be putting on this dress so you can see what it looks like. So I'm also going to be adding a zip to the so this is what it looks like after putting it on. So I noticed that the v-neck part is wide, so this is as a result of me not adding 0.5 inch for the sewing while cutting. So I just went ahead and cut out the pattern straight up, the fabric straight, without putting 0.5 for sewing at that part. So that's why it's this wide. So I've also shown you what the back looks like. So what I'm going to do now is just to put a rope around that to make it firm, so it doesn't look as if my breast is falling out. So the rope will just make it look firm and gives it another style. So but this is what we have. So this is what it looks like after adding the rope. So I ended up putting it on the mannequin. So this is what it looks like. So mate, if this is something you like, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share. Thank you so much for always coming through.